Okay. We now live. Right. Hello, everybody. This is Debbie from Teacher Success Coach with a different show today. Today, as you all know, if you don't know, you're going to know from now. We have International Women's Day, but I'm having it as International Women's Month because I do feel that we need to be celebrated more than just for one day. So today I've got some fantastic women, some powerful women joining me, where we are going to be discussing what some of the challenges we've had and how we overcame those challenges, what some of the areas we're working in terms of jobs, what some of the barriers are, and how we are trying to overcome the barriers. So those are some of the things we'll be discussing on today's show, celebrating us. It is so important that we celebrate ourselves. We acknowledge ourselves. We do a lot of self-love and self-care. It should not only be for today. Today's just the start. It should be for the whole month. We have the right to use the whole month for us. Anyway, hi, wonderful women. Hi, powerful women. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. Introduce yourself. As you guys know who I am already on my platform. Right, who wants to go first? Go for it.
I am, okay, sorry. I am Husama Shamroz Chandio. I am from Pakistan and I am a wellness and mindset life coach. And my journey began when I had my firstborn, who was a neurodivergent child. He was suffering from hearing impairment when he was 9 months old, and from there, and then my journey started as an empowered woman because I had to stand up for him. And by that time, when COVID came, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, a cancer, and that was third stage. So I am basically a cancer survivor as well. And after that, I decided to mentor people on their mental health, on their mindset, because I know how it is to go through all that. So in short, I am a life coach to help people, to mentor people, to overcome all the negativity, all the limited beliefs, and empower them for their life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Who else want to go next? Come on, women. Who's going to go next?
Yeah. I can go next.
Are you going next? Okay,
sorry. I didn't know if someone else is, sorry. So I'm Francesca Hennessy. I'm an amateur boxer and yeah, I think I'll be turning pro very soon. I'm currently in the middle of actually doing a petition with Stronger and Women in Sport to make sure young girls have access to comfortable, supportive sports bras for their school sports. So yeah, I'm just trying to get that message out at the minute and trying to get as many signatures for that. So yeah.
Oh, wow, fantastic. Thank you, Francisco. Thank you. Right, Amber, you go.
Yeah, I'll go. I'm Amber and I'm a mother of two, an elementary educator, and the owner of The Proactive Woman, which is a life coaching company specifically designed for women. I help women with their mental health. I help them design a life of their dreams by looking at their limiting beliefs and kind of identifying areas of growth and things to help them move forward in life.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's going to go next? Katimani, you going to go?
Here we go. Hello, greetings, everybody. My name is Katimani. I originally am from Australia, but I live in Barbados in the Caribbean. I am a music artist. I just released a new song today called Real Woman, which is a reggae track. You can check it out for International Women's Day. And I am also the founder of the Global Creative Collective, which is an online coaching and creative development platform for creative entrepreneurial women from all around the world. And I am passionate about helping women to become more visible, to become more vocal, and to be able to do the internal transformation work that's necessary in order for us to be able to launch our creations, our creative projects, our businesses, our artistic endeavors out into the world, and to be able to take up space as women and feel confident and empowered in that. So thank you so much for having me here.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, can I be the next?
Yes, sure.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maya. I'm from Kazakhstan. I'm just positioning myself as a social entrepreneur and international speaker who are just working with young generation, people who are living in rural areas. Also, I just realized some kind of social projects which is based on the education and also based how to find themselves, yourself in your profession career, to study on the grant program in universities in my city. And it's also just now working on the my PhD dissertation in tourism sector and trying to make some kind of positive effects on and impact on my society and also take it globally.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, who have got Louise and Savata and
Evelyn? Hi everyone. Firstly, let me apologize. There is building work going on where I am, so I'll just keep it brief. I'm an educator like Debbie. I work mainly in the UK. Sometimes I'm based in the Caribbean also, in further education, working with young people, teaching them, mentoring them, coaching them. I'm also studying at the moment in counseling and social work. So very interested in mental health and empowering people to be their best self, basically. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. The last two.
Yeah.
Savita? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, welcome and good evening to everyone. And I would like to thank Debbie as well for inviting me to this. And my name's Savita. I'm 20 years old and I'm basically, profession-wise, I'm a qualified pharmacist technician, ACT, and a third generation homeopath. So obviously in the practice, I've dealt with many types of patients and clients. So hopefully in this meeting, we'll be able to discuss more on how I think, in my own words, we can empower women and get our voice out there.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, Evelyn? Oh, I think she's having trouble with her audio. The beauty of technology, eh? Because she actually had, she got slipped. Anyway, let's continue. And she's going to introduce herself as soon as she's able to get her audio on. Right. One of the questions is, what institutional and society changes that need to be made to empower women? So basically, what does the institution need to do and society need to do in order to empower women? Because this International Women's Day is just one day, it's just 1 day or 1 month. What else could we do, or how could we contribute to that? Who want to take that?
I think quickly, there could be really formalized policies, for example, family-friendly organizations and help with women returning from maternity, awareness around issues that women health issues perhaps that women face, and embracing that in the workplace and facilitating that in the workplace. that you don't feel so marginalized, for example.
Thank you. Let's just pause and take Evelyn. Evelyn, can you introduce yourself, please? Are you there? Are you hearing us? Are you hearing us? Right, can you introduce yourself, please? We're not hearing you. There's your mic isn't working. I'm seeing your mouth moving. Okay. Right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, brilliant.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna take it from the top. I'm Evelyn Mashu. I am a fashion designer and an international relations practitioner. So my fashion brand is based on sustainability in terms of like what we produce and what we design. Our products are sustainably sourced. They are from recycled, upcycled, you name it. And so in terms of what I do in international relations, I'm a youth delegate. Advocate for stuff to do with climate change, mental health, various things in youth as well. So I've put the brand and what I do in international relations together. So yeah, pretty much in a nutshell.
A lot of feedback and a lot of
There's a lot of noise coming from your end. I'm not too sure if your mic is doing something strange. It's doing something strange. Yes, definitely your mic.
Could I go ahead with answering?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So I personally, the changes that can.
Can you, just a second. Evelyn, can you mute, please? Can you mute, please? Because I think the noises. Okay, fine. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. I personally feel like what changes can be done is we all know that women, get involved in everything from giving birth, looking after the house, working, cleaning, and they still manage to do everything, we women. So I feel like men they say they respect women, but they don't show it in practical. So I think one main change that could be done is instead of yeah, I feel like one thing could be done is the men
Evelyn, can you mute, please? Thank you. Yeah, it's the song is coming from you. Yes, Savata.
Yeah. So yeah, in short, basically, I personally feel like one change that can be done in every household is men showing that they respect for women and, getting involved in job roles at home as well. Because they might say they show a lot of respect, but I feel like they sometimes don't show it in practical, and it needs to be shown in practical so that we can accept that they're showing as much as respect to us as well.
Thank you. Right, can I have one more person who wants to take that?
Can I proceed with the answer, please?
Yeah.
All right. So I believe that everybody should respect everyone's model of the world, right? When a woman is doing that since years, like since ages, we have heard that women do give birth, women do the cleaning, as Savita already said, that we women are like bounded in the boundaries that we do have to take care of our children, we do have to take care of our in-laws and families and all of the world. So we should, like everybody, even morally, mainly men should go for it, and they should keep their ego aside and let women shine. There are too many men in the world who want their women to shine, but the other ones just keep them dragging behind those walls, that you are letting your wife go there, you are making your wife do that. This is so not good for you. This is not good for your kids, your health, who is going to take care of all that. So I think all those limited beliefs which men have should be, clear screened, and they should let their women shine because when a woman is empowered, she makes her kids empowered. She let her husband shine. She let whole of the boxes who are like near her, who every relation shine at her end. So when a woman is empowered, this means whole family is empowered for life. So I believe that every woman should take that opportunity from her side and avail that opportunity for life.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone else want to take that before I move on to the next question?
Yeah, I speak on that. Thank you, Debbie. In terms of just reflecting on this year's theme of International Women's Day around embracing equity, I know somebody shared before, men and women are the same. And I have to completely disagree. We're not the same. I don't believe that we're the same. Yes, I think that it's important that we should have equal rights on a humanitarian level, and we should have equal access to things, and on that level. But on a physiological, psychological, spiritual, emotional level, we are not the same. We are unique as women. We have for womb bearing, we have a unique cyclical nature and rhythm, right? So if you are a woman who menstruates, if you are a bleeding woman, a birthing woman, there are certain aspects of your being as a woman that are going to come into play and that are going to impact everything from your hormones, your psychology, your emotions, even your different capacities of leadership that you have available to you at different phases throughout your month. And something that I think seems to stop blowing me away is the amount of women that are not even educated about our own bodies and about our rhythms, natures. They don't even understand. They know that maybe they get a period once a month, but they don't actually understand the magic and the potential that is available to them at different phases of their cycle. And so men don't know this either. How can we expect our men to understand in our own power and understanding really what true feminine power and leadership is? And so I think when we take this to an organizational perspective, things that need to be considered are things like menstrual leave, right? Not just, we're familiar with maternity leave, but menstrual leave is something that is just non-existent in most countries. So having, an education that is brought into things like schools from a young age, having an awareness of conversations, breaking down the taboos that exist around menstruation, having workplaces were not invented with women in mind. They were not created for women, a majority of them, right? And we women, we're not linear. We don't operate on this Monday 9 to 5 consistent level. Like women, we're not consistent. We have unique capacities and strengths at varying times throughout our month. So even having an awareness for men to be able to be aware of this, for workplaces to be able to embrace this and, empower women to be able to tap into those unique capacities and leadership abilities, I think that is an excellent point for change, for those things to be common knowledge and embraced.
Thank you. Amber, you wanted to say something. Thank you very much on that. That's really powerful and it's so true, so true.
Yes, I would like to tap into so I teach elementary school in the US, and as a woman, as a mom, as an educator of young girls, I think the institution that I see the need for shifts in most is the schools that I'm working in. These young girls, there needs to be things in place to teach leadership skills, creativity, just show them that the possibilities out in the world, and there's not a one path way to reach that. And like through my educating of these young girls, like I want them to learn about their bodies. I want them to learn about their emotions. I want them to be able to have the interactions that they need to become leaders as they step into their womanhood. And like my little girls every day, it's, how are you? You're beautiful. I love you. I'm here for you. And I think the more that our young girls can hear that, the more they will flourish. And the second point is, we as women, as grown women now, need to set the example, be the example of what is possible. We need to support each other. We need to be there for one another, lifting each other up instead of tearing each other down. And like, we need to run this world through our support of one another and our drive to increase mental health, well-being, and the possibilities that are out there for all women.
Thank you, fantastic. Thank you so very much for that. The other one I'm going to go through is barriers. What are some of the barriers that are there that prevents women from being empowered?
Yeah, could I go?
Yeah.
So I personally feel like the biggest barriers still today is not giving like women a proper like position or sector in every profession. I feel like it sometimes can be very like male dominated. So I feel like women, we need to like come out more there and show that we're able to do different types of professions, you know, whether it's from A to Z, any. So I feel like sometimes it is still a bit male dominated in career profession wise. And I feel like we are multitaskers, so we can also be able to take in different careers, positions.
Thank you. Francesca, I want to throw this one to you.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Should I go? Yeah.
Yes, I want you to take this. This is yours.
Obviously, I'm in a very male-dominated sport, so for me, I've had to break down a lot of barriers to get to where I am. Even like my own parents didn't really want me to box. They didn't want me to get involved in the sport at all. So I think for young girls, I'd love it to make it easier for them to just know, no, it doesn't have to just be men that can box. You can do anything you want to do. Like, it's not a male dominated thing. I love boxing. It's one of the things that I feel like it helps you with a lot of things. It helps get your stress out in the day. You know, for me, it's just, I want to get rid of that stigma that it is male dominated, that you like have to be tough and a man to do sport, like even like boxing. And I feel like it's also there with sports like football. Like when I went to school, it was the girls did netball and the boys did football. Why didn't we have a choice whether we could do football or we could, you know? So I think there's a massive stigma around sports, especially, that like boys are better at certain things, when it's not true. If you put the work in and you believe you can do it, then I think you can do anything.
Right. So what were some of the things that you've been experiencing going into the boxing area, knowing, you know, full well it's predominantly male? So how did you, you know, what happened when you actually go to do your training? What happened?
So my brother is a professional boxer, and I sort of always would follow him around, copy what he would do. And my dad and mum were like, no, you're not boxing. Like, you're a little girl. We don't want to see you get punched, you know? So, but I would not leave them alone. I'd practice on my own boxing. I'd watch what they did and then practice it on my own. And I'd follow them around everywhere, to the gyms, everything. They would just let me come because I would nag them that much. So, and then one day there was actually a girl at this boxing gym and she needed sparring. And I said, oh, I'll spar her. And my dad said, you've never boxed before. You can't spar her. Like, you don't even have a gum shield. And I pulled my gum shield out my bag. And then he said, you don't have your gloves. And I said, I pulled my gloves out my bag. And it went on like that. And I got into the ring. And my dad, after that spar, he saw that I'd been training on my own. I'd been pushing through my own barriers because they wasn't letting me box. So after that happened, my dad actually did let me box, and he realised, wow, like she really wants to do this. So it has took me a lot to get to where I am. Even at school, you'd have boys saying like, oh, you're a girl, you can't be boxing, you know, you'd have things like that said to you. So in my head, if I didn't stick at it and I didn't push through down all these barriers, I don't really think I'd be boxing now. But it was just because I saw a future in my head and I had to follow through with it. So
well done, Anil. Well done. Well done. Right. Anyone else want to take that? It's interesting that you said in terms of you know, the sports for boys and girls, because my son did one day came home and he said he's going to do netball, right? Yeah. As much as I you know, believe in equality, etc. In my head, I said, what do you mean you're going to be doing netball? He said, yes, I'm going to do netball. And he actually did do the netball, and he actually got trophies for playing netball. It took me a while to actually get that sink in my head, right? Even though, you know, all of this, yes, you know, girls could do sports, what boys could. It actually threw me in terms of the netball, you know.
I think it obviously does like throw you when you first like hear it a little bit, but like obviously my mum, I know now she's like, she loves my passion for boxing, so she hasn't got anything against it. She can tell that I loves it, but I know that when she didn't want me to box, it was coming from a place of care. She just didn't want to see her little girl get hurt, you know. So I think it is hard for you to like first get your head around things like that, but I just think it should be equal. I think when I was at school, I used to love playing football with the boys at break, but I never really had the option to do it in PE, you know. So I think it'd be great to get young girls to like give them the option, and give young boys the option as well. If they want to play netball, they can play netball, you know, like it has to be an option.
Yeah. Thank you. Somewhere there's about 3 people haven't spoken. There's 3 people haven't spoken yet. Oh.
I would share about sorry, this.
Yeah, sure.
When we speak about obstacles and about barriers, how we see some kind of like these obstacles when women just want to realize herself. The first, depends on our mentality, I think, because, for example, there are different mentality when we speak about Europe, for example, and Asia. In Asia countries, because I'm from Kazakhstan, also this kind of countries are just more based that, you know, women will not have the same rights as a man. You can see like Muslim countries also, but now I see that we see domestic violence among our life, and so it's a big problem nowadays. And what we can do is it's to grow up the awareness among people in the whole. And if we are working like in a government sector, of course, we should make like some kind of changes in the policy, in the politics, also in the some kind of laws. So it will be very helpful to realize each woman. But now we see, for example, in our country, we see that there will be voting process soon in the 19th of March in Kazakhstan. So we see that there will be 10 participants who will take places in the government sector, and among of these 10 people, most of them are men. So and only one woman who just want to pretend like to be like a minister and work in the government sector. So but it's a big victory for us that we see 1-2 women in the politics sphere. So I think that these kinds of obstacles are making that because just it's inside in our minds, in our like a culture. So most of them, we should just, what we can do is to grow the awareness and to say that we have the same rights and we can do everything. Of course, we are not the same as a man, as our colleagues just told us about this, but we are like a multitaskers, and also we can just say that we can do the best way and we can be the best in politics, in education, in medicine sphere, in everywhere. And nowadays there are a lot of women in IT sphere, for example, because before it was like associated that only men can do like IT things. So about these kind of barriers, that these kind of barriers are only in our minds, and we can just ruin this and just believe in ourselves, and we can do everything.
Thank you, thank you. Right, who else want to take this in terms of barriers they're actually facing in their job?
So I want to go for it. Ravi, basically, barriers for women are normal. Like it's normal in the world, because still 40% of the world have that particular limited belief for women that they cannot get more education, because we have that amount for our sons to grow up in a way. Like, you know, more middle class family all over the world don't let their daughters study more. So education is the first barrier which comes in like way of women. And the second obstacle which comes are mainly, mostly I have seen the women with after having kids, they are like told by the families, by the husband, to stay back at home and look after their child, because they need you first. You are the mentor, you are the caretaker, you are the, you know, maker of the house, and so many more of these statements which help, which actually stops women from inside, you know, because they start feeling pity about it, that yes, if I'll go to work, who will be looking after my child? My child will be lacking all that nurturing and all that mom side of the love. So I believe that parents on the both hand should take care of these responsibilities. If man can go out after having a child, why not a woman can go out? So this is our time. We are growing up for our children to make their future better, because in this stressful world globally these days, after COVID, after pandemic, we are all, even if somebody's from US and somebody's from Pakistan, they all are suffering, even from mental health, from that financial health, from career health. Everybody needs that time. So why not letting women jump over those barriers and grow and shine? I believe in that. So let's see how it goes.
Thank you. Yes, Louise?
What I was going to say was that I think I recognize and agree with a lot of the things that Summer said, but also I think there's a lot of change happening, like particularly here in the Caribbean. I've seen where there are programs where girls are going into farming and learning about entrepreneurship, learning about STEM subject and going into science. And they are, although there are still high expectations in terms of the female role and clear divide in terms of the roles of women and men, there are strides being made. And I think it's a slow change. And, you know, what was said about going into boxing and the differences in sport, etc., they're fantastic. But I think we as women need to also educate practitioners, policyholders, etc., about how those changes can be initiated, from sport to education to teaching about business and entrepreneurship in school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and about boys being aware of what happens to women in pregnancy, simple things.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Evelyn?
So I'm going to sort of like piggyback on what everybody has said, right? And realize that what I've realized is what we as women and people who are behind us, the women behind us, is we have lacked examples. right? The reason why men can do this, can think they can do this, do that, and the other is because they've been shown, they have seen examples, living examples, and they've opened, so their minds are open to this. So us women have a responsibility upon ourselves to be that example, to live it, and then to show support to the coming generation, show them that, yes, I'm not gonna box, but yes, you can do it, so go ahead and do it. You wanna do it, you go ahead and do it. So there's also that's lacking, the support from one woman to another, because I dare say that with her boxing, I might not know, but I dare say that some girls were telling her she couldn't do it. There's that support even as women, from one woman to another, that is lacking from our older generation and from each other. That is such a huge barrier, because we're trying to break through a glass ceiling. It's never been done before. And we're trying to do something that's new. And then someone's next to you telling you, you can do it. So that's a huge barrier. Because it's a new way of thinking altogether. And we owe it to each other to support each other, to hold each other's hands. So it might not look like something that's doable, but if someone wants to do it, what we've seen in this life is, if you want to do it, put your mind to it, you can. So we could just have that for women in general. You want to go to space, go ahead. You know, that support and setting an example is also such a huge thing. So yeah.
Thank you. I think that is so good, because in terms of role models, there are far more male role models than there are in terms of female role model doing certain things that you want to do. Because, for example, when Francisco spoke about, in boxing, we tend to see, which is televised, more male boxers. You don't see female boxing all over the place, but male is all over the place. It's interesting. I had a conversation with my students this week regarding, we were talking about sports. And one of the things is, why is it that in terms of football, male footballers get more money than female? And they're saying, oh, well, it's a matter of advertisement, and it caused a huge debate in my lesson, because it is the recognition that is given, and how worldwide, the only way women football is going to be really recognized is it's got to get the publicity. But if it is not getting the publicity, there is no way it's going to be, globalized. And that's the situation we have right now.
Yeah, maybe I would like to add, I totally agree with everyone here, but I would like to add another obstacle I personally believe is, sometimes we get this tag that, oh, she's just a girl, let her go first, or let her do this, oh, she's a girl. We kind of get that tag again and again, oh, she's just a girl. I feel like, and then people try and show mercy on us that, oh, she's just a girl. I feel like that needs to change, because I feel like, people end up giving girls a first chance just because she's a female. We're equal as well. So I feel like that mindset needs to change, that we're also equal as well. Because I feel like females are not something to be mercy on. They obviously have a right as well. And I personally believe everyone is equal. And when I say equal in education, wisdom, and knowledge, these three main things. And I feel like if I go back in history, people I don't know if anyone will agree with me, but people have been there that have had their voices out there to bring a change. If you could give me the opportunity, I would like to say in 1824, Maharishi Dyananji Saraswati was born back in India, and he was one of the first people to bring a voice that women should also get into education. And then back in the days, when women were married, their husbands, if they were passed away, unfortunately, then it would kind of be a rule that, oh, she can't get married again. They'll just have to stay in white clothing. And then he kind of brought the change that, no, let's say if she's in her 20s, she's still got a whole life ahead. She should get another chance if an unfortunate situation happens. And then Lord Krishna, he advised Arjuna that women are as worthy and capable as men in achieving liberation or moksha. So I feel slowly we're getting there. As someone else said, that changes are happening. It's taking time, but hopefully we will definitely get there.
Yeah. Thank you. Does anyone else want to speak on that who have not said anything yet before?
I think a quick add would be a lot of the women that I work with are mothers, and thinking about the belief of like, I'm a mother and nurturer, or I'm a successful woman, or in my career, and changing that mindset to like, we can be both. Because we spend time building our business and being successful and having a career does not make us less than less of a mother. It does not make our children suffer. It actually brings about a better life for our kids. We set an example for what our daughters and sons can be. We're much happier in pursuing our passions. And I think the belief of like, if you're spending time on your career or something else and not with your children, that that is seen as you are not a good mother. And I think that that's the number one belief that like we need to break. We can do both. We're doing both. So many of us are thriving in those roles, and our kids need that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's interesting. I also throw that out today with my students as well, because I say we could do it all, but society is saying that you can't. Society is pressuring us and putting us into certain boxes that you could do X, you cannot do X, Y, and Z. Very true. Kati Muni, I want you to talk in terms of your music. What are the challenges and the barriers you, as a woman, trying to break into reggae? Did you say reggae, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so actually I do a lot of different genres. Right now I'm making a reggae hip hop album, but I have performed in lots of different genres over the years. Look, you know, music is a male dominated industry, like most industries in the world. And it is one of those things that I think representation really matters. Like when I look at a lot of lineups for festivals or events or concerts, 95% of them are male, right? Women are missing in the music industry. There is a deficit of female sound. And I think that something that has always been important to me is, as a mentor as well, is to always leave the door open for other women and create spaces and opportunities for other women as I'm coming up, is to bring the other women with me and to create space for them. And I think that that is something that we as women need to be conscious of in terms of having an abundance mindset, because coming from, you know, where we've come from as women, often there are limited opportunities, right? There's a limited space that has been available for us to take up. It's like, okay, well, you're allowed to, you know, be involved and you're allowed to put yourself out there, but we're only going to have 1 or 2 women on the entire bill, right? And so there's this mentality of competition that gets cultivated amongst women. It's like we have to claw our way up to the top, or compete against other women in order to have that space. And I think I'm going to lead into your next question around what are you doing, right? That's something that I've always been mindful of, is being like, if I get an opportunity, I use that to bring my sisters with me, to showcase them, and to also be able to impart that knowledge and go, hey, you can do this as well, you know? So I hope that that answers the question. But, you know, I think each one must teach one, you know? As we receive, we must give, and we must continue that cycle of evolution so that we're breaking down those barriers of competitiveness amongst women, of jealousy amongst women, of scarcity amongst women, and just stepping into more of an abundance consciousness where we can be like, hey, we're in this together. We can create amazing things together, and, you know, put on our own events, put on our own festivals, our own concerts, you know, create opportunity for ourselves and for each other moving forward. Yeah.
Thank you. That is so very true. But the thing is, I also feel that society have conditioned us. We have been programmed to think a certain way, that you have to be competitive. Because when you look at somebody like Margaret Thatcher, who was a female prime minister, we all thought she would be for women, but she wasn't. Because as far as she concerned was, she saw it as the nuclear family was the family and women ought to go back in there. You see, that's the thing about it. Whereas we were trying to break through. We were trying to say, okay, we need to be career women, etc. And as a result of that, she actually decided to reduce benefits, etc., etc. So women had no choice, some of them, than to go back into the home.
It's a really, really good point. And I think it's really important to recognize the distinction between women in power and feminine leadership, because they're different. Because you are a woman in power, it does not mean that you are leading from a feminine perspective. Because
exactly.
About collective power, it is about the we, right? And I think that because there has been this scarcity and there's been this competitive nature amongst women, a lot of women have stepped into a very hyper masculinized role in order to replicate what they have seen represented as power. We see power as represented as male, as being quite dominant, right, in nature. So, you know, I think it's important that we as women start to be unapologetic about taking up space and taking up roles of leadership as women, right? That we don't have to try to replicate these old models. And, you know, I come from Australia, so I come from a country that, you know, we've only ever had one female prime minister in our history, and she was destroyed by the media and by the other politicians and very undermined and cut down. But I live in a country here in Barbados that is led by a very powerful, strong Black woman. And, you know, she really takes up space, you know, and we need to see those representations of women in power. And as I said, being unapologetic about their female nature in those positions too, you know? So not all women in power are for other women or who are leading in that manner. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's about
that's very, very.
We need to think outside the system, not rather than just seeking power the way that it's been presented to us in the past, but starting to think outside of what does it mean to be powerful as a woman? What does it mean to be a leader as a woman? How can we navigate and create new ways of being, create new systems, create new structures, create new, things that are outside the normal, outside the mainstream.
That's very true. That's very true. And thank you very much. And too often when we see a woman in a position, we automatically assume that she have all women's best interests. And that's something we need to reassess a lot of the times. Right, another question is, thank you for that. How do you empower yourself and other women in light of what we see all the time? Just put your hand up and start talking, anybody.
I take that firstly. I think it's important can you hear me? Yeah. Yes, I think it's important for us to empower each other, to listen, to communicate effectively. But I think women can play, we're stronger than we think. And it's important for us to lift each other up, as well as our daughters, as well as our nieces, and female members of our family, to share our experiences also of things like, childbirth and maybe health issues that we go through as well, and also our experiences in the workplace, to make it that little bit much easier to say, okay, this is what I experienced, and maybe you can tackle this in this particular way.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you how, but you already said how, in terms of sharing your experience, i.e. childbirth, etc. Right, thank you. Right, yes. Yeah. Yes, Mia.
Okay. Thank you so much. About how you can, for example, empower yourself as a woman. So on my sample, I think that in my thought that you should prove not to everyone, you should prove to yourself that you can do this. So we see that there are a lot of women who are sitting in the house, and first of all, you should prove that you are independent. You can't live with husbands. I don't want to share that there will be more divorces, but I think that it will be better when women can just earn money by herself, and she can just realize her and to find out her own way. And my sample that how, for example, I empower myself, I think that it depends on what kind of family, and it depends from your family. For example, in my sample, my mom and my dad, before, when I was child, they just told me that you can do this, be strong. It doesn't matter that you are a little girl. Every time I just cried that some kind of guys didn't give me this kind of position because I'm a girl, and it was happened in kindergarten, it was happened in school. But my mom just told me every time and told me that you will be strong. And so every time it's like a system, it's like a something happens into my mind when I'm just coming back into this time when it happens, and every time I'm just telling myself that I'm strong and I can do it, and nobody will stop me. And so I think that this kind of system we should share to our children, to our daughters, and all together we can just break this kind of system, and we will achieve what we really want to see.
That's amazing. I will want to add.
Hold on. Evelyn wants to talk because she have a hand up.
Oh.
And I think I'll let her speak because she wanted to add on, right?
Okay.
You wanted to add on? But you can go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I believe she was so right. Maya is so right that to empower ourselves, we have to first empower our kids and more small younger girls in our house. But I believe that empowerment comes when we make ourselves our first priority. When we basically empower ourselves from inner peace. Inner peace is the most powerful tool a woman can have. Freedom is being present. Like we live two lives. We live in our life in our thoughts, and we live in life as our experience of present moment. So freedom actually comes as our life of thought demonstrates, and our experience of the present moments predominates. So freedom comes through learning how to balance thoughts of our present life, and how we can make ourselves our first and the most priority, topmost priority. So I am really fascinated to all the ladies. I'm not that empowered, but today, after being at your show and taking all your thoughts, and I am truly amazed, and this is actually motivating me more. Thank you so much, ladies. You all are so much powerful, and I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think what I would like to probably add to that is I totally agree with everyone. And I feel like in empowerment, if a woman can help another woman and boost their confidence, that plays a very big role. And because sometimes I feel like jealousy can come in the way in some areas. And I feel like that kind of needs to stop, and we should just think good for each other. So if a woman can help another woman boost each other up, that would be great, instead of being jealous or, getting negative thoughts. So I think that's one thing that could be done.
Thank you. Evelyn?
Hello, thank you. So when I think about it, first of all, this will take brevity, obviously. But when I think about it in a holistic way, is us women need to connect with our divine femininity. And how do we do this? We need to connect with who we are essentially. Like who are we to our very core. And we will have to come out and celebrate our differences, celebrate our uniqueness, our so-called weaknesses, as they call it. And as we celebrate these various unique things about ourselves individually and as a community and as a species even, we are going to understand that they're actually strengths. You know, who we are exactly how we're supposed to be. And yes, there's this whole notion of we're equal to men. Look, we are not equal. We have our strengths, they have theirs. I don't know if we'd use the word equal. We are just going to say everybody has their strengths, and that's just how it is. And we complement each other. That's why we, you know, as a species. So yes, first of all, we connect with our essence, with who we really are, celebrate our differences. And there's the importance of women coming together as a community. When women are together, there's magic. You know, look at us. There's always magic. When women come together, they can achieve so much. But there's what has been said earlier, there's the bad vibes, the negativity that comes up. And I believe that these are notions and attitudes that we've been taught to have, right? Like I said, it's a new way of thinking, it's a new way of being. So building community as women, come together, we celebrate who we are, we celebrate our differences, we celebrate our authenticity and our so-called weaknesses. This is who we really are. And I think that's what would really propel us forward. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, somewhere I read before that let's empower women by empowering men. And that was the most funniest thing. I read it on the internet these days, and I was like, they are so right that when men will be empowered, they'll keep their ego aside and let their women shine. That is so true.
Yeah.
I don't feel like men need to allow us to shine. We shine. We are not asking for permission. We are not waiting to be handed the keys to the so-called.
But sometimes societies don't let us do it. Like where I belong to a Pakistani culture, I belong to a Muslim culture, where there is a male dominating lifestyle, right? There is a male dominating community, a country. So we need it here. And when I see other women not shining, I feel pity for them. So I really want to inspire. So in future, I am planning to work on that. I'm planning to open an institute or something like that to help mostly women empower. So let's see. Looking forward to it.
Right. Thank you for that. Anyone else want to talk on that before I look at the other question?
I think we just need to keep as women. I think that like, for me, my personality has been like, you tell me no, like watch me do it. And I think that we need to have that mindset more often, especially many of us coming from countries that lack women leadership or positions of power. And we talked about that doesn't always mean that good things are going to come from that, but like there's just not great examples of true like feminine like empowerment and women really in those roles to lead the way. So we need to continue to evolve and break past what we have seen as possible and just continue to push ourselves into like, how far can we take this to get to a point where we as women are really stepping into our power and living authentically, like Evelyn said about like, we need to, that is where we shine. That is where we will be our best selves, is when we are our authentic selves and like making that a norm within our societies.
That's very true. And the more we express our uniqueness, the more we are going to shine, because when we are trying to pretend, it doesn't last for long. So we just need to be us. I say to you, one of my phrases, be bold, be brave, and be positively blatant. Because when I used this phrase with my student last year, I said to them, be brave, be bold, and be blatant. They said, but Miss, do you know blatant, could also be rude? I said, yeah, you're right. Let's change that. Be positively blatant. right? And make no excuses for being who you are. Because it is so important that as women, we should make no excuse for being ourselves, our unique self. You know, uniquely you, we are all uniquely us. And the more we begin to express it, the more the world is going to embrace it. But if we don't express it, they won't embrace it because they don't know what it is they need to embrace. Right, anybody else want to speak on that before I go to the next question? Okay. Right, what do we need to do to engage and inspire male advocates? Let me just repeat that. What do we need to do to engage and inspire male advocates? Because we have some men who want to advocate on our behalf. So what could we do to inspire them? I'm having blank.
Maybe if we maybe if we like explain to the men that are around us a bit more like what we've been through and what we've experienced in that sense, if we sort of help them see it from our point of view in a way, so they can sort of understand and feel the need to get it out there a bit more.
Yeah. I agree with that, especially in your field, you know, because there's some men there that, you know, would want to support you, but they don't want others to see that they're supporting you.
Yes.
Because that is what a male-dominated area, because this is a girl. So
this is perfectly said.
Under the table.
Yes,
Truly, this is so well said. Amazing.
But if they can see it from our point of view, like if they could see that what I've been through, like say some of the boys that I box with, I know that they'd want to help get it out there, because I feel like if they'd been through the same thing, they would hate it, you know. So I feel like if we can make them see what we're going through and what we've been through to push down barriers and to get to where we are, they might kind of help the message get out there a little bit more.
Very true. Thank you,
Evelyn. I think to get the framing right and treat gender equality as a business issue. So I believe in that and not a women's issue. For that is so important, isn't it? We need to make those things work as a business prospectus rather than being that as a women's issue, and like go wide, make visible and target all the key gender equality areas, and then you know that lovey-dovey scene and all that, we should pamper them in a way that they just let us do what we can to get empowered.
Okay, thank you. Evelyn?
Hi, so kind of like to piggyback on what you just said. In psychology, we realize people push agendas that are in their best interest. It just comes automatically, it's just human nature. So help them see how it is to their benefit. Show them how if we are empowered or we are allowed to do this, that, and the other, that the people who come after us, aka their kids, their sisters, people they love and care for, will get the same benefits. We need to show them it's not a threat, that we can coexist together, that it's not taking from them as we put it on ourselves. It's sort of like having it, it's enough, it's abundant, we can share it, there's enough for everyone, there's enough to go around. And showing them how it's to their advantage when their women, their daughters, their aunts, the women in their lives are empowered. So I think, that.
Thank you, Evelyn, for adding that.
Thank you, Louise.
Yeah.
I'd love to just maybe offer to this conversation is that I think it has the key is education and bringing things to their awareness, because I think that essentially men are good and men care and men are instinctively protectors, right? They do want to support us and they do want to uplift and empower us, right? But often there is a lot of things that are blind to their awareness because it's not in their experience. In the same way that you've never probably researched heart disease if you've never had a heart attack, or in the same way, if you've been in a privileged position as a light-skinned person, maybe you're not aware of the intricacies of things like racism or systematic injustice on that level, right? In the same sense, there's often a lot of things that are blind to men that they haven't had to confront or they haven't had to experience. And it's not that they don't care, it's just that they don't even know that it's there because they're in that position of privilege to not see it, right? And so what I have found in my experience is that I love being a woman. I embrace being a woman. I embrace everything about my feminine nature. And as such, I find that the men around me are drawn to that and they want to listen and they want to learn and they want to hear about my experience. They want to know how they can support me. And it's because I hold no shame in me. I'm not waiting for anybody else's permission. I'm completely unapologetic as a woman. And the men in my sphere, and I would say that healthy, well-developed men do actually want to support and they do want to be there on our team. They're just not aware of even that those obstacles or those barriers even exist, right? And so I feel that it really has got a lot to do with education and just sharing and awakening and bringing things into their awareness so that we can start to approach this idea of equality or equity from a perspective of how can we collectively work together to create some shifts? Or, hey, did you notice this? Or, hey, this is my experience. It's completely different from yours. So it's about, I think, having these conversations and and bringing these things into their consciousness.
I so much agree. I so much agree with Capimony because some of the men who actually leave their ego behind and let their women shine are the more powerful communicators. They communicate with their women, they communicate with their mothers, they communicate with the daughter. And I have experienced this, like my husband out of the blue let me accomplish my career after decades. Like I have been off the screen, I have been off my education for a decade long, looking after my children, and he actually stopped. He put that all those barriers out of my way and let me shine. So this really happened. I am truly accepting the fact that men do work with the good communication skills. They do work.
Thank you. Louise?
I was just going, sorry, my internet is a little bit unstable. I was going to say that we can also educate our sons and the males in our families, you know, just like Husama was saying with her husband as well, in terms of my son has 2 sisters, so it's 3 of them, and he has a unique experience as to some of their health issues, what they go through with their periods, etc. And I think he's kind of grown up in the middle, sort of, you know, experiencing all these challenges and seeing me going out to work and juggling the home and doing all these different things. So I think in a way that's empowered him. As well as his role of learning how to be a male.
If I could add something here, as people are discussing like how the husband is very, you know, pushing him. In my case, we're basically 3 sisters. And in Asian mentality is a bit of like, there should be a son. You know what I mean? So here, my father and mom, you know, have been so supportive to us. They literally tell everyone straight, especially my father, he'll be like, I'm proud. And they're like, one day my 3 daughters will make like me proud as much as a son can. And then he sometimes says more than a son as well. So people are there that do support in, like, for example, my father, he's very supportive. So I just thought of this one example that probably I have faced is that because we're 3 sisters and, you know, maybe some people can relate to me. They can sometimes say, oh, well, boy's not a son, you don't have a brother. So I feel like in that way, we can definitely need to change the mindset.
Very true, very true. Because as you know, within some culture, if the woman don't have a son, the family is not completed.
That's
Yeah.
it. Exactly. That change, like, you know, we daughters are as equal, and we can run the family as well, you know, make proud.
Yeah, it's beautiful that your father is actually making the world know, okay, I don't have a son, but I have 3 fantastic daughters. He's actually taking the lead, because as we know, in some culture, you know, the man would say, oh, well, you know, I'm waiting on a son.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But it's like that he's saying to the world, I'm not waiting on a son. I have my 3 daughters.
Exactly.
So that is so powerful and empowering. It's so powerful.
Touch wood, I'm very lucky.
Yeah, you are, because I know so many Asian, you know, family, and we know, you know, not only Asian culture, there are other cultures who, when you don't have, you know, when you don't have a son, it's like you're not carrying on the name, right? That's the weak mentality they've got, that the son is there supposed to be carrying the name. And if you don't have a son, you're not yet, you know, we still waiting on the son, which is so sad.
It is very sad, because then people say, oh, your daughters will get married one day, they're going to leave. Okay, I agree to an extent that yes, the girl gets married, goes to the house, you know, starts a, you know, a different life. But that doesn't mean that we're different. We can always come back and support our parents. So that mindset definitely needs to change.
Kavita, of course, because even son leaves at some extent. They take their wife and kids and get out of their house.
I agree.
So why only girls are supposed to deal with that phenomenon? I mean, like there is the same policy for both. When obviously when a son goes to abroad with his wife and kids, they are leaving their parents behind only.
People are not understanding. Yes, back in the day, obviously they'd stay in a joint family, but now if you see, no one's staying, you know, they end up, even sons move out. So I feel like love and the support is more important, and just show it in practical.
Exactly. I truly agree on that, Savita. This because I have actually witnessed all this, as I am a Pakistani. I am from an Asian culture, so I have witnessed so many people crying for sons for no reason. I said, why? And my father empowers those people. Like they say, you have a daughter, and these days daughters don't leave you behind, sons do.
I have heard that as well, yeah.
I think, in my opinion, it's like a stereotype which we have in our minds that, for example, daughters can do these things, sons can do that. So of course, we see the difference, but it makes like our life so amazing because we are so different. And if there will be a lot of like boys and men, and it will be so boring life. We will not without emotions, without like
I agree.
Women here so emotional, multitasking, and we are just giving this kind of worlds better and like interesting, incredible. So in this way,
we are blessed to be women, right? We are blessed.
And first of all, we should
it's our world.
Remind like to our fathers, to our brothers, that they are just coming to this world by the women. So it's the big mission that you are all here.
I feel like it's just a mindset, you know, because like if you see in cultures, they'll tell mom, oh, do this, do that, you'll get a son, but they don't actually know the reality. It's the men that holds both of the genders.
True. That's the mentality. Actually, what somebody told me, that if there will be no women in the world, there will be no butterfly, there will be no shine in the world. We women create that. Actually, that is like we are the beauty of this world.
Yeah.
So how amazing is it to feel like that? We are women. We empower the world. We make people shine. and we give birth to men. We give birth to men.
Yeah. Slowly
Yep.
it's changing, slowly but surely.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's good.
yes. Thank you for that. Another question is, what advice would you give women who wants to work in a male-dominated field? So a woman who wants to work in a male-dominated field, what advice would you give them? And I'm going to Francesca, you first.
The advice I would give them is mentally you need to keep very strong to push through your barriers. You know, if mentally you're thinking, oh, I won't be able to do it, I won't be able to get there, then how are you going to do it if you're thinking that? So I think mentally you've got to keep your head very screwed on and very, you know, in one direction so you can push through your barrier that you're willing to get to. It's very, I feel like it's very, all of it's very mental, like with what you think.
Thank you. Who else want to take that?
Yeah,
Yes, Evelyn?
I'd say for one, it's important to have really thick skin, because they have this notion of getting you out of your comfort zone. It's just being macho, and apparently it's supposed to motivate you. And if you react emotionally to it, you don't fit the bill. So thick skin. But also in a more serious manner is us women need to bring in our own perspective. We need to stop trying to be like the men just because we have their position. We have our own values. We have our own way of looking at things. Let's say a woman's touch. And that is what needs to be brought into these rooms. This perspective is what needs to be on the part of the things that are as part of the conversation at that table. Because once we bring in this woman's touch, this is how we get the woman's and the women who are not even in the room included. This is how we get felt. This is how we get included. And also, in general, just the woman's perspective. Don't try to be like the men, which is what I've found or I've seen that most women are trying to do. You're trying to fit in. So you even change your look, your dress code, especially in, let's say, IT. You find they're sort of like bullied to drop the glam. You know, you look a bit immature, even too fantastical, your head is in the clouds, or you can't do your job just because you look some type of way. And we need to shut all this noise out. This is all noise. Because once we get onto that table, we are deserving. And we need to believe that. Let's start with that. If you're seated at that table, you deserve to be there. And you need to sit and simmer in that. And once you get that in your system, then you can move authentically and you can put your perspective and your touch onto those decisions that will get other women involved and will also make space for other women. Yeah. So
Thank you. Number?
Yes, I just want to follow up on what Evelyn just said. Because it's important for us as women to learn how to internally source our own sense of authority, right? Rather than seeking validation externally, which is, I think, something that we can tend to do as women. Like, do you think it's okay? Like, do you think I look all right? Do you think what I said was good? Or, did you like my idea? But, to be able to really know ourselves and love ourselves and be able to deliver whatever it is that we're delivering, right? If you're giving a presentation or a speech or a business deal or, you're performing or whatever, but be able to present ourselves with a sense of inner conviction of this is who we are, this is who I am, this is what I'm sharing with the world, and it's enough, and it's okay, it's more than okay. And to be able to move with that big, bad, bold energy and not need an external validation in order for it to feel like we're good enough. And I would also say to women in terms of like working in male dominated fields is to be able to bring our own feminine energy into that right? Rather than, as I said before, replicating the systems of power that we've seen previously in the past, because the world needs us, and the world is craving feminine leadership as a solution to all the problems that we're facing on the planet, right? Like the systems that have been in place are not working. They have not working. The planet is dying, you know. The earth is desperately in need of new ideas and new ways of doing things. And I think it's just, we need to carry that spirit in our movement as women, that we are essential, that we are needed, that this is our time to, you know, really step forward and to shine and to start sharing our uniqueness and our voices. So yeah, big up for all the women.
Exactly. Thank you. Amber?
I think that everything that these women said is gold. And the thing that I would add to that is just like surrounding yourself with people that are going to continue to support you and to lift you up. We want to practice mental strength. We want that strong mindset. And like, that's a continual thing. I think one of you had said thick skin, you're going to need it. But we also need those people around us too, when self-doubt creeps in, when we try to stray away from who we authentically are to try to fit in. And I think that the more people we can surround ourselves by, that we can be our authentic self with, and the people that push us to be the best version of ourselves, that support system just adds that whole extra layer that we need to propel ourselves forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Maya?
Okay, just want to add from my side about that. Of course, we have like a stake from two sides, because from one side, of course, it depends on you. If you want to just prove that you can do everything from like a woman to realize yourself, and it means that you can just make a challenge to yourself and also to others in your community. And of course, you should just grow up the awareness about mindsets and everything to build the restrictions, like borders of yourself, that you can do this. But mostly, and from another one side, it depends on the government system, about the political system from the whole. And so it will be very hard. For example, if we can take these countries like Afghanistan, Tajikistan, so women there just sitting inside, and they can't realize themselves. That's why they are just going to another one countries. For example, in our country, there are a lot of women from Afghanistan, and so they are just very in a scareful just positions, and they really want to realize themselves. And mostly it depends on these two sides. Of course, if it will be okay, you can realize, but now here, when they came to our country, for example, they just now feel the freedom, and they see that how the life is going on, and they see that they can realize themselves. Yeah.
Thank you. Hossaman?
Okay. Working to bring more women into leadership, I believe it's an important way to advance the cultural change we need. That means identifying prospective leaders and mentoring them through the sometimes difficult early years of the leadership development. Like, it is so true, it is always true that more people around us wants to see us shine, but few of them drag us back, drag us behind the barriers. So I believe my advice for women all around the world who are not actually even thinking about themselves, I want them to think that they are the most beautiful thing. They are the beautiful creature by their like God, and they should be empowered for life. They should be shining all over the world, and they should make themselves the most top priority. It is also true that the best, most enduring change begins within, and we have working towards like cultural change. So I believe that the most the most beautiful thinking and the most beautiful thoughts we have inside us is about us. So why not helping us grow more? Let's just shine and inspire more people, motivate more people. Let your past behind and live in your present and live for your future. Just keep shining. Love yourself and the rest will follow, definitely.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the last question is, what obstacles do we as women still face today? I know there are plenty. Right. Who's gonna take that first? What obstacles do we as women still face today? I'm just repeating the question, that's all.
All right. I think coming from the US, our biggest obstacle that women face right now is like our laws and the things in place in our workplaces for women, especially maternity leave. We're at the bottom of the totem pole there, whereas many people I know like don't get any maternity leave. They go right back to work after having their babies. They're losing their vacation time, taking unpaid time, and just the inequities between how women are taken care of after childbirth and recovery and postpartum. And I think that is a huge obstacle right now. And as a mother of like 2 young children right now, I'm working full time and in my business, and I'm pumping at school, providing like milk for my baby when I get home. And I think that just there's not a lot of good things in place right now. And that's something that definitely is a barrier to many moms that I know, and something that hopefully we can take charge of as women and change the norms that are currently in place right now.
Wow, thank you. My goodness, when you say that, I'm thinking we in the UK, we are blessed. Wow, when it comes to maternity leave, as a teacher, you know, we have the time off.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
wow.
and so many mothers here, they have to choose like unpaid time, lose your job. There is no set amount of time. And I know my cousin, she just moved to Switzerland, and she's like, wow, like they take care of like their women here. It's so different. And just her and I with children, I've got a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old daughter. And you're pretty much expected to go back to work. Your recovery is like a 4 to 6 weeks recovery, and then you should be back at work. So here in the US, we are not anywhere close to, I feel like, a lot of other countries in supporting our women and sort of postpartum journey, which is why we're seeing such high levels of a mental health crisis in our women.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. Thank you for that. Evelyn?
First, I'd like to mention that I'm Kenyan and from Africa, so that will explain the point that I'll put across. So for us, it's mostly the traditions, you know. There's still this backward, I'm not going to use the word backward, it's too harsh, but there's still this mindset that women should be married by set time. Otherwise, they're not successful no matter what they're doing with their lives. No matter, even if you're like a doctor, surgeon, whatever, even if you're saving the world, if you don't have kids and you don't have a husband, you are considered a failure. So there's that. And the worst part is these traditions are not propagated by the men as much as by the women themselves. So it's sort of like a choke. You get to a certain age, it's a chokehold on you to set a family, put everything on hold. Otherwise, you are considered selfish and you don't want to progress really. And there's that tradition and lack of support when you're trying to be any different. So our moms and our moms will not get it at all. So there's lack of support. You go it alone and you look like the renegade. There's also lack of education about ourselves, right? You see women going into this set progressive marriages, and you find they walk into like sort of like a trap. They do not know themselves. They do not know the whole idea of marriage. They do not have so much information that they should be having, because it's sort of like taboo to talk about these issues openly. So you go it alone, so to speak. You figure it out on your own, and because that's how our moms figured it out and our mom's mom figured it out, so you learn on the job, so to speak. There's lack of education for ourselves, about ourselves, and even what we are walking into, you know? So to even make it simpler or easier or even more, you know, I don't know the word to use, but education is power, right? So it would help if we had more information on what you're walking into, or even as women, who we are walking into this, you know, change of life and whatever. So yeah, that's Africa.
Yeah. Thank you. Hassama?
Okay, thank you, Debbie. So here in Pakistan, the main challenges women face today is most and topmost is gender inequality in employment. Like economic disparity due to gender inequality is an alarming issue in Pakistan. Like the low status of women in society, home care responsibility, gender stereotyping, and social culture humiliated practices against women are the main hurdles in women's growth and employment here. So, as here a citizen of Pakistan, I am facing all these. So that's why I chose to be a mindset life coach globally. So I not only take clients only in Pakistan, but I do take it internationally online. Because right now, I think we are facing that issue in Pakistan. Like it's not just for me, but for all the women.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to talk on that? Okay. Thank you all very much for coming online. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you all coming on to share the journey, to share some of the challenges we as women experience on a daily basis, and also to identify that things are changing, but not as fast as we would expect it to change. And in some cases, I must say in the US, I'm quite surprised in relationship to women and childcare. It really is reinforcing our mind that how they actually pay little importance to the powerful role women plays. And as we know, once a woman is happy, the whole world is happy, because we are the leaders and the forerunners. But this is so minimal in terms of the support we need and the support we get from society as a whole. So that's why it is so important when we have this kind of platform, is to remind people the importance. We're not trying to compete. We're trying to demonstrate, highlight an awareness of what we as women need. And also to remind people that we are enough exactly as we are. Just appreciate us and celebrate us. There isn't enough celebration of women. Right, what one thing you guys want to say in terms of either whether or not you want to say something in relationship to an advice to women, or a woman who are facing challenges in her employment, or advice to women in terms of empowerment, or advice in terms of how they could get the men on board. You know, what one final thing you guys want to say? So I'll just go, you know, going turn. Okay, who wants to go first? Okay, anybody?
I will want to say, be yourself, keep shining, and love yourself. Make yourself your first priority, and the rest will follow.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so true.
To put, and I also want to add that you should put on the first place yourself, and after that, your children, your husband, your relatives, and other things. Because if you are happy, everyone who are just surrounding you will be so happy too. And so wish that all little girl and after that woman will believe in herself and just trust to not to everyone, but trust to herself in her strong power, which she has inside.
Francesca?
Yeah, so my advice would be just to anyone, the sky is the limit, and you know, you can do anything you want to do. Don't let anything anyone says or any boundaries make you think that you can't do it. Just push through those boundaries. Don't let what anyone says get to you. And as you said before, put yourself first. And I think that's the main thing.
Right, thank you. Evelyn?
I've just put in the chat, I would say, ensure you're self-empowered and have support systems in place to achieve your goals and face life challenges.
Thank you, Louise.
2%. I'll quickly go. I would just like to say thank you to everyone. And advice I would probably give is, I think support can bring a change. So if we support each other, especially a woman, if a woman can support each other, another woman, that would bring a change as well. And if we can see it more in practical, like same go for men as well, if they can show that they do want change to be seen, if they show it in practical as well, rather than just saying it. So yeah, but once again, thank you so much to everyone. And thank you to Debbie for having me here as well. And it's been really good to get to know about everyone and discuss this topic.
Thank you, Evelyn. Oh, Amber, you're gonna go?
What I'd say is I'd piggyback on something that's been said, but maybe build on it, is falling in love with ourselves. And I feel that that's a very huge revolution, because once you fall in love with yourself, you go into learning who you are, you know, and then once you learn who you are and you learn your strengths and your weaknesses, then you work on them, which is really so important, because you can't just, I mean, how are we gonna get people following us if we have nothing to be followed for? So we learn ourselves, we work on ourselves, we accept ourselves. We learn, we accept what we find, and then we work on it. And then this is how we cause the revolution, and this is how we get people following us, because we know where we're going. So thank you again for having me. Thank you for Debbie for giving us a platform. This is so important. You yourself are causing a revolution. Thank you for creating a community for women to talk and to discuss and to learn from each other. And this is lovely meeting all of you. Have a great night. I'm seeing you 3 a.m. somewhere.
Thank you. Amber?
Well, thank you, for sharing space and sharing your voices. I found each of you inspirational today in different ways. In conclusion, I would just say that, if we want to change the world, it has to start within. We have to be that change and embody that change. And sometimes that requires us deprogramming our mind from the expectations or, from the pathways that have been set before us, and to be revolutionary, be the revolution, be the change that we want to see, and to, cultivate our own inner wealth as the source of what we share with the world. Allow ourselves to share from that overflow. So yeah, loving ourselves, love is the revolution. So thank you.
Thank you. Amber?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is, continue to challenge societal norms and break barriers. And like everyone said, it's a job that starts from within. Spread those to your circle in hopes that your circle continues and we have that ripple effect in the world. And lastly, spread love and support to our youth. We need our little girls to hear that they're loved, that they're strong, that they are capable of anything that they put their mind to. And we need to be strong examples for our youth. And Debbie, thank you. Ladies, thank you. It's been so awesome connecting, and it's been so inspiring as well today with our talk.
Right. Thanks to everybody. I thank everybody for accepting the offer. It's been a fantastic section. Women, we are powerful. We are powerful, and we need to remind ourselves. It starts with us. Self-love, the most powerful tool. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Thank
I'll
you
see you
so
later.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Debbie, for having us here.
Thank
And
you,
thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you,
We had an
everyone.
amazing day. We had an amazing day.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
fantastic day. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
much. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.